we'll try to get the basic understanding of it. So let's see the content that we'll cover in this video. So first of all, we'll see what is Node.js. We'll see some of the features of Node.js. Moving forward, we'll also see some of the advantages and disadvantages of Node.js, and in the end, we'll see a basic, very simple example of a Node.js uh, that will be coded in Node. So let's get started. So what is Node.js? I'm sure if you are in some sort of programming, either front end or back end development, you must have heard about the term Node.js. Well, Node.js is an open source, a cross-platform runtime environment and library. It is used for running web application outside the cloud client browser. So below you can see it's an official explanation about the Node.js. So if you go to official documentation, you see that this phrase written, that is, Node.js is a platform built on Chrome JavaScript runtime for easily building fast and scalable network application. Node.js use an event-driven non-blocking input-output module that make it lightweight and efficient, perfect for data-intensive real-time applications that run across distributed device. So I'll explain you uh, this thing going forward. So what is open source? What does it mean here? So open source means that it is a free to use and constantly been tweaked by a lot of user or a lot of contributor that help in grow the Node.js, help in making bigger and better and bug free. So there are a lot of contributor out there in the world that is constantly each improving and giving the contribution to make it uh, way better, right? So it's an open source where anyone can contribute to obviously make it better. Now, talking about runtime environment. A runtime environment contain a web API that a developer can access to build a code and a JavaScript engine that pass the code. So JavaScript engine basically means it will pass the JavaScript code in the browser to a machine code. So this make it lightweight, flexible and easy to deploy. So all feature that will help to optimize and speed up your application project. Let me tell you some interesting fact about Node.js. So it was originally written in 2019 by a guy called Ryan Dale, and from 2009 it has made a huge impact ever since. So in a nutshell, what Ryan tried to do was he wanted to run the JavaScript outside the browser as a standalone application instead of running the JavaScript inside the browser. So prior to 2009 there was no way in which we can run the JavaScript outside the browser. So Ryan introduced this to make sure that it's lightweight, easy to run, and it can be run in any browser. So Node.js is used by a lot of enterprises, big and small enterprises. To name a few, companies like Amazon, Netflix, eBay, Reddit, PayPal uses Node.js in their application. And you will be surprised to know that 43% of developer using uses Node.js for building an enterprise application. uh, so it is a quite impressive number considering the fact that there are other programming or server-side programming language out there available, which we can use, but 43% is like a great high number. So Node.js is one of the go-to choice for many developers in many industry, like either be IT, healthcare, and many other industries. So it provides a very good features and simplicities that offer a great flexibility in coding. It is used for, as I said, it is used for server-side programming, and some of the application where it is used is in real-time chart application, and it's also mainly used in making and backend API services. All right, so I think we can move forward in understanding some of the feature of Node.js. So one of the main feature that is asynchronous and event driven. So Node.js in asynchronous and event driven. All API of Node.js library are asynchronous, and that is, it means non-blocking. So it essentially means a Node.js is base server never waits for an API to return data. The server move on to the next API call after calling it a notification. Mechanism of event of Node.js helps the server to get a response from the previous call. So Node.js have a mechanism to uh, tell that the data is available once the request come. Node.js put the request in a mechanism called events, where it wait for the data to get back from the server, or get back from the database. Once we get the response, the API call is made. So it is not blocking any thread. It just, if we are waiting for the data, it will just put it into a event queue, and then the process will go on. It is one moving to the next point. It is lightning fast, being built on Google Chrome V8 JavaScript engine. Node.js library is very fast in code execution. So JavaScript engine is nothing but a parser or a converter that convert a JavaScript code to a machine code, so that machine can understand. Since Node runs on V8 JavaScript engine, that is the core of Google Chrome, which is one of the fastest JavaScript engine when compared with other browser engine, like Microsoft Edge uses engine called Chakra, Firefox uses engine called SpiderMonkey. Uh, these are the engine which is used outside the browser, and out of all, Google Chrome JavaScript engine it's one of the fastest. This allow Node.js to be very performative, very fast, and its performance scale up. All right. So moving to the next point, single thread, but it's highly scalable. So Node.js use a single thread module with event looping. So the event looping is what allow Node.js to perform non-blocking input-output operation. So the event looping is a mechanism that wait for and dispatch event on message in a program. In Node.js, event loops are the central control flow construction. For example, every time a request is about to be handled, it put on an event loop and process as soon as it is ready to be processed. That means when Node.js is performing an input-output operation like reading from the network, accessing a database or the file system, Instead of blocking the thread and wasting CPU time cycle, Node.js will just resume the operation when the response come back. In that way, the thread will never be blocked and it can be used by other requests. So it makes Node.js faster and more efficient than other technologies out there. Uh, Another feature is just there are a lot of modules in Node.js. Modules are kept within individual contexts so that they don't interfere with each other modules or populate the global scope of Node.js module. The module is a functionality, either simple or complex, which is organized in a JavaScript file, and it is reusable throughout the Node.js application. So basically, there are three type of module within Node.js. First one is core module, second one is local module, and third one is third party module. The core module is the basic that include all the bare bone functionality of Node.js. They load automatically when a node process start when the node process start it this basic core module load up automatically. The second is the local module that are created within the Node.js application. They include different additional functionality in separate file and folder and give functionality to the uh, core modules. And there are third-party modules, which is an existing code written by a third party that can be included in the and used in the Node.js. Right, so let's see some of the pros of Node.js. Node.js is easy to learn since JavaScript is one of the most popular programming language uh, for front-end development, and nearly every front-end developer is familiar with this universal language. So anyone who knows JavaScript can easily start coding with Node.js. It also provides freedom in app development. So there are few frameworks that imposes certain rules in developing a enterprise application or developing any sort of application. Like Ruby and Rail, you can say they provide certain rules to which you have to follow and then develop a application. But in terms of Node.js offer more space and more freedom for doing things the way a developer want to do. You know, you don't have to strictly follow certain things um, in Node.js. So you have more freedom, more space to work according to your way. That is one of the advantages of using Node.js. Full stack development, uh, full stack development in JavaScript. Before Node.js was introduced, that is way back in 2008, before 2009, the JavaScript was only used for client-side development. Right after introduction of Node.js, we can use JavaScript for server-side programming language. And there is a huge community, active community that is constantly improving and adding new feature, new things to the Node.js development. And one of the main advantage of having an active community is that if you are blocking any sort of bugs and stuff like that, that can be easily solved if you seek help in the community out there. Any problem can be easily solved, right? So you'll not be stuck in some sort of problem forever, and that's one of the biggest advantage of having an active and big community. Another advantage of Node.js is it can handle requests simultaneously. That is, since it is a non-blocking input output operation, so multiple requests can be handled at times. And as I told earlier in this video, that it uses an event driven mechanism to handle the request. And once the request is made and it's awaiting for a data from a database or any sort of external server, so it'll just add it to an event queue and other requests can be processed along the way. So you know in that way, in that sense, it can process large amount of requests at a given time. um, all right, so there are a few advantages as well. Even though there are a lot of good advantages, there are some you know disadvantages that might stop you from using the Node.js in your next application development. So let's see. One of the disadvantages of Node.js is its APIs are quite unstable, right? So it lack a consistency. Node.js application change frequently and changes are often backward incompatible, right? So if a new version is released, right, and new features will be released in the new version. So sorry, so new features will be released in the new version. So the older version uh, features might not be so if anyone is using a older version, the person, that application might not be able to upgrade it to the new version because it will not be compatible. So that's one of the biggest disadvantage of Node.js. And it is unsuitable for heavy computing app. Suppose if your app is you know it's involved in heavy computing, like heavy arithmetic operations and all. In that case, it's better not to go for Node.js. You can either go for some other server-side programming language. There's another disadvantage is immaturity of tool. Even though the core of Node.js is stable, many package in the Node.js package manager. NPM is a Node.js package manager through which you can install different packages and use it in your application. So it is not properly documentation, and the quality of the package manager is quite poor. And that make the developer life easy. You end up installing or using uh, packages which are not relevant or not properly maintained or properly made, and that hamper the development, or that hamper the performance of the application. All right, so let's also talk about when to not use Node.js. As I told you, one of the biggest disadvantage of Node.js is that is unable to perform heavy computation tasks. Node.js is capable of executing JavaScript code on a single thread basis, right? So it uses a single thread, it means. But the problem occurs when the Node.js is asked to do CPU extensive tasks, in the sense heavy computation tasks. For example, when a heavy request come, Node.js first process it and then answer the other request. Because of this, the entire processing system becomes slow, which causes a delay in the event loop. This is the reason why Node.js is not preferred for heavy computation. Alright, so finally let's take and let's see this simple example of a Node.js application. In this code, what we're doing is we're just simply creating a request, and we're printing a hello world in once the request is success, once the request is ended actually. So in the first line, we are importing including the Node.js HTTP module. Node.js content has a lot of built-in module which can be used, and HTTP module is one of them. um, the the create server, which you can see a method of it is an HTTP method to create a new HTTP server and return it. The server is set to listen on the specific port, so we have specify a port 3000. You can specify any port you like that is not in use, and we also have to specify the host name. So 127.0.0.1 is a local host. Alright, so when the server is ready, the callback function is called, in this case informing us that the server is ready. Okay, so when a new request is received, the request event is called and provide two objects. A request is called incoming message object and an in response object. So you can see a request and response in the create server. These two objects are essential to handle the HTTP calls. The first provide the request detail REQ, which you can see in the create server parameters. In this simple example, in this example we are not using the request, but we can definitely use it. And second one is to return data to the caller, so that is the response. So what we are doing is we are setting the status code of 200. That means this response is successful. It's a global code. You can check the different status code available if you want to learn more about it. We are also setting the header, and we are setting the content type, that is a type of a response that we are expecting or we are sending actually. So the type is plain text, or we can use JSON, and few other types are available. And we close the response, adding the content as an argument to end, and it will print the end hello world. So I hope you have got some good knowledge on Node.js, basic understanding of Node.js, and you have got the simple code that have shown you, I have explained you. I'm sure you this give you a great introduction or great start to Node.js. Thank you for watching the video. See you soon. Thank you.